They say that bone loss is silent. We don't even know it's happening to us.
Our doctors aren't necessarily even experts in this. Mine wasn't. I was doing a hormone course at the time. I went in there and said, I'm worried about my bones. And he gave me a scan. He's like, oh, I have bad news. You have osteopenia. And then a year later, I went in for another one and I had full-blown osteoporosis.
And if you look at Stephanie, she's ripped. So like you would never guess that looking at you. So it's really important to go beneath the exterior. And the younger you have this on your radar, and better off you will be, as we all want to live to 100.
So you don't want to live a long life and then be frail, because once you have a fall when you're older, it seems like things kind of spiral and go downhill. Look at my mother-in-law. She's 82. And we actually got a 6-month membership for my mother-in-law. And the guy said she's met and is exceeding like all of her targets.
And you're never too old to get strong. And if you want to know where you fall, go get a Dexa scan, because maybe you have some osteopenia or osteoporosis. And what are you going to do about it?
Very quickly before we start this episode, did you know that 95% of Americans aren't getting enough fiber? Fiber is one of the most underrated tools for better health. It supports gut health, balances blood sugar, helps regulate hormones, and keeps you feeling full and energized throughout the day. To help combat this, we put together a free guide on our top 10 facts about fiber, packed with tips, food lists, and even a daily tracker to help get you started. Download your free guide today and start supporting your digestion, metabolism, and overall vitality, one fiber-rich bite at a time. You can click the link in our show notes or head over to theartoflivingwell.us/fiber.
Welcome to the Art of Living Well podcast, where we empower you to take charge of your health and happiness. We're Marnie
and Stephanie,
board-certified integrative health practitioners, holistic wellness coaches, and passionate explorers of all things mind, body, and soul.
Each week, we bring you expert insights, real-life stories, and practical tools to help you bridge the gap between where you are now and where you truly want to be. From longevity and nutrition to mindset, movement, and healing, we dive deep to uncover the root causes of wellness and vitality.
Join us and our growing community as we explore what it really means to create your art of living well in a way that's authentic, sustainable, and uniquely yours. Brought to you by Good Health Saunas, your key to relaxation, rejuvenation, and better health. Looking to feel amazing every day? Infrared saunas help you detox, support your immune system, ease muscle pain, and improve sleep, all while helping you sweat out the toxins. Stephanie and I love our sauna sessions. We sleep better, feel less stressed, and have noticed a big difference in our skin. We've had our Good Health sauna for the last 3 years, and we have loved using it in the mornings after we work out or in the evenings before bed. My husband uses it, my kids use it, and we just love a great sweat session.
Good Health Saunas delivers top-of-the-line infrared saunas with commercial-grade quality, a lifetime warranty, and unmatched customer service. Their team handles everything from purchase to setup, making your experience seamless. Good Health Saunas will ship and install anywhere in the United States, and you can also visit their stores at the Mall of America in Minnesota or in Appleton and Waukesha, Wisconsin. Get your exclusive discount at www.goodhealthsaunas.com. And be sure to mention the Art of Living Well podcast. Hello, welcome back to the Art of Living Well podcast. How are you guys? Marnie and I are here today. And before we dive in to the topic we want to share, we just want to remind you that we have a hiking group for anyone who's local. And we've been doing these hikes periodically over the summer. We're going to continue to do them into the fall. So make sure that
winter.
Okay, and winter. You're right. Just we'll switch locations for winter.
Throwing that out there.
Yes. So we've been doing these hikes, and it's just a great way to build community and move and explore new areas, spend time in nature, and get to know you guys. So we also have a Facebook group that we created where you can stay abreast of anything hiking related. It's called the Minneapolis Hiking Collective, and just search for it, or we'll have a link in the show notes and join, and we'll post what we're doing. And we love to hear from you guys that are local, like where are your favorite spots to hike? And Marnie and I go to Highlands a lot, but we know there's a lot of other places, and we'd love to join you wherever you guys are hiking too. Yeah. So I think that's it as far as like news and updates. And make sure that you subscribe to our newsletter. All these links will be in the show notes, and you can always head on over to our website. Follow us. We are on YouTube. So subscribe to our YouTube channel and join us up close and personal. So today we are going to talk about bone health and preserving our muscle. And we're even going to touch on the very popular weighted vests, which we know a lot of people out there have. And it seems like they are popping up even more, especially over the last few months and the last year. And this is just a topic that we know is really relevant to a lot of our listeners, Marnie and myself included. And even if you're not super worried about your bone health right now, it is something that really should be top of mind as we age, especially for women, as our hormones change and our estrogen drops. And yeah, so let's get dive in and get started.
Well, and the crazy thing about bone health is that like it peaks in your 30s. That seems so young to me. Like, and then it starts to decline. And I'm 52. So I'm like, wow, my bone health has already been declining. But I feel like the idea of strength training way back when was all about, how you want to look physically. And now we're learning that it is so important for our longevity and for our metabolic health and for our bones. And so we don't fall as we age and fracture something. And so, especially as you start to hit menopause, as your estrogen drops, it becomes more difficult to build your bones. And they say that bone loss is silent. We don't even know it's happening to us, right? But low bone density really puts us at a high risk for osteopenia and osteoporosis. And like I mentioned before, those fractures later in life. So lifting weights, strength training, increasing that bone density is so important.
Yeah, and I would even backtrack a little bit. And I know we want to focus on menopause because we know a lot of you guys out there are in those years, and you can lose up to 20% of your bone density in those kind of 5 to 7 years post menopause. But for myself, and I'll just share a little bit of my personal journey. If you guys out there, if anyone's not getting a period, there's likely a hormonal issue and a hormonal imbalance, and your estrogen may be low, way lower than even some people that are in menopause. And it could happen at a very young age. So in your 20s, in your 30s, if you're going months and months or years without getting a period, that's called amenorrhea. And there's a variety of reasons for that. Then your bone health is at risk. And I unfortunately found that out the hard way. And I had many years of not getting a cycle, and it was my acupuncturist, who we actually have had on this show many years ago, Monica Heeland, who I went in to see her just to like inquire about acupuncture and kind of have it as a reference for clients. And we went through her long health history, and she's like, "Oh no, it's very important post bearing years to continue to get a cycle as long as possible because it's your estrogen that impacts your bone health." And she awakened me to something that my OB dismissed because he's like, "Well, you're older, you're done having kids. It doesn't really matter if you don't have a cycle." Wrong.
And I've even heard of this happening in teenagers, right? Like runners, young women who are long distance runners and they don't get a period for a long time. And then they get these like stress fractures and it's all related.
All related. And so I don't think enough emphasis is placed on this in education because our doctors aren't necessarily even experts in this. Mine wasn't.
Right.
He was
And
fired basically by me after. And so I demanded a bone density. And it was actually because of this education that we were getting. And I was doing like a hormone course at the time, hormone health course, that I went in there and said, "I'm worried about my bones." And he gave me a scan at a very young age, like not
Dexa
normally you're
scan.
not screening at that age. And he's like, "Oh, I have bad news. You have osteopenia." And then, which is like the precursor to osteoporosis. And then a year later, I went in for another one, year and a half later, and I have full blown osteoporosis. And this is like at the age of like 46, 45. And my levels were not there. I wasn't in menopause. It wasn't like I was in early menopause or anything.
And if you look at Stephanie, she's ripped muscularly. Like you have major muscles. So like you would never guess that looking at you. So it's really important to go beneath the exterior and really find out what's going on in your body. Super important. And I think I just going back to how important this is, like there is this term that we've talked about before called skinny fat. And you could be very thin but not have that muscle strength and muscle tone and or bone density, and that is gonna harm you later in life. So it's something to really think about now. The younger you are and the younger have this on your radar and think about your bone health and do strength training or we're going to talk about some other things to increase your bone density, the better off you will be as we all want to live hopefully into our hundreds to 100, right?
And you want your health span to be really
Right.
strong. So you don't
Yep.
want to live a long life and then be frail and not be able to go on a walk or play tennis when you're older or pickleball or whatever it is. Because once you have a fall when you're older, it seems like things kind of spiral and go downhill. And it's hard then to build the strength back up.
Yeah, I mean, I read this statistic about hip fractures, and you always hear, "Oh, that's like such a common way older women die," but 24% of women over 50 die within the first year of a hip fracture. Like,
Hey,
we're in our 50s. That's crazy. That's like a lot of people. And 50% of women who suffer a hip fracture will never regain their full independence or mobility. Like, just think about that. We can prevent this. We
yes.
can prevent this.
That to me is a startling statistic and one that I don't want to be be a part of. And so it does get to what can you do now? And this is also, we know a lot of people out there are wanting to do more and trying to find the time, and there's lots of reasons. But these statistics, we hope that maybe it'll spark something in you to be like, okay, here's what I want. Here's my vision for my life. Here's how I want to live the next 50 years. And I need to do something, start doing things today to be able to live that life that I want.
Yep. Yep. And, muscle deterioration, it doesn't just affect our bones, right? Like it also helps regulate the blood glucose levels. It's taking sugar up your bloodstream and it controls your metabolism. And as you lose that muscle, it can lead to weight gain. So we want to, keep that muscle and we don't want to increase our insulin resistance.
Exactly. And don't you remember, Marnie, when we were younger, people were like, well, I don't want to lift weights because I don't want to get really big and bulky. Don't you?
Bulky. No, yes. Nobody wanted to be bulky. 2 pounds. Yep.
And so people just use these like 2-pound weights and they were and now it's like bring it on. The more you can lift, and obviously you need to build up to this. So I'm not saying everyone go out there and start, with 20-pound dumbbells or anything. But you're not gonna very few women are going to get big and bulky. You have to have a certain like genetic composition to really look like that.
Or you're, like, eating a certain way and you're cutting and doing cutting, like, calories or whatever. What I can't remember what the term is, but do you know what I'm talking about? Like, if you're bodybuilding,
We're not trying to be bodybuilders here.
we're not telling you to be bodybuilders here. We're just telling you to increase your muscle mass so you can have a strong bones.
Don't worry so much about the physical, right? Because you're doing something really important for the inside, like Marnie said. There's a lot of other health benefits metabolically, and just think about, like, your insulin and regulating your insulin.
And if you wanna know where you fall, go get a Dexa scan. Like, you can do this with your doctor, but you don't need to. There are places you can literally Google Dexa scan near me and go get yourself a Dexa scan, and that's what I've done. I've never had one through my doctor, and it's just such valuable information to see where you fall at your particular age, and then it gives you an idea of, like Stephanie mentioned, like, where do I wanna be? What do I see for myself? What do I want my health span to look like? And or maybe you get your DEXA scan and the results are disappointing because maybe you have some osteopenia or osteoporosis, and what are you gonna do about it? So, I think being armed with that information is super helpful to decide how you wanna move forward.
Well, it's empowering for better or worse, right? Whether it's
Right.
good news or bad news. And I will just say, and this was something that Monica, my acupuncturist, reassured me is, and not everyone, this is not everyone's view, but this was her view, is that you can regain the bone loss that you've lost. So, and this is something I've been really focused on. So, okay, maybe I have osteoporosis right now, but if I can maintain, then when I get to be 60, then maybe my bones are the same, like the average for a 60-year-old, and I won't have be technically termed as osteoporosis. The other thing is there are certain supplements and things that you can do that have been like scientifically proven to help people maintain and regain bone density. So this is not about muscle, this is about your bone. And there are actually two different things that I've learned about in the last few years. And one is a place called OsteoStrong. I actually learned about it when I read Tony Robbins' book, Lifespan, is it?
No.
No, Life Force.
Life Force, I believe.
Okay. So anyway, they've done all this science and research, and it's this super brief. It's like you're in this place for 15 minutes with these certain machines. And it's not about building muscle. I mean, you are building muscle, but they are actually improving through this machine. And I won't be able to articulate how it works. We'll have to have the founder on our show.
That would be really cool, actually. We should.
I've actually listened to podcasts with him. So it's a very specialized approach to bone and skeletal health. It's very low movement. And we actually got a 6-month membership for my mother-in-law in Florida. And there you can Google this wherever you live because there are franchisees around the country. And she's been doing it weekly. And it's just you're in there for 15 minutes.
And how does she feel? Like, what does she notice going?
Well, it's interesting. She's going to be here and we're going on vacation with her in like 10 days. So I'll get to talk to her. But I had to coordinate some logistics with her with the place. And the guy said she's met and is exceeding like all of her targets, like, because they have targets for you to improve and increase. And she's doing really well. That was from the trainer.
That's amazing. That's so cool. And how old is she, Stephanie?
She's 82 and she's never done strength training. I mean, aside from maybe some water aerobics, she's not someone who ever did any strength training aside from water.
We've all been there. You plan to hit that early morning workout or hike, but after a fun night out, that alarm just hits differently. Not anymore. I've started making ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink my first drink of the night, and it's been a total game changer. ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's a buildup of this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for rough days after drinking. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you will feel your best tomorrow. I first tried pre-alcohol before a summer dinner party with friends. I drank my pre-alcohol, enjoyed some wine, and still woke up early the next day feeling great, ready to hike, make breakfast, and get on with my day. So as you head into summer, before that margarita on the porch or champagne by the lake, grab your ZBiotics. Go to zbiotics.com/AOLW to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use AOLW at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/AOLW and use the code AOLW at checkout for 15% off. So I just think that's important to point out, right? Like, this is for everybody. This isn't just for like people that are doing all kinds of strength training and whatever. Like this, you could walk in there and have done nothing.
And that's I actually did a session because there's one here or a couple here in Minneapolis. And if I had all the time and resources in the world, I would be adding that to my schedule. It's just not in the cards for me right now, but it is very approachable, I would say. And it caters to people in their 30s and 40s up to 80s and beyond. So that's the one thing. And the other thing I will say is just from having multiple Dexa scans, I'll share this, is that the last one I had, and when I met with my health practitioner, I I mean, I would say it was flat, but it was almost like a little teeny bit of an improvement, and I was so happy that I just didn't deteriorate because from the first
Yeah.
one to the second one, it got worse, and it's level set, and I am taking, supplements that the nurse practitioner I work with recommended, and they're called LG-Cal, and it's the only calcium supplement that's clinically supported to increase bone density, and they have so many studies on their website, and I love this, like, I love the science, so it doesn't just stop bone loss, but it actually increases bone density, and if I have not been as religious with taking it, there's 2 different ones that I take, and I do think that that is helping, and I am committed to taking these kind of, like, indefinitely.
Well, and is there algae in it with the name Algae Cal?
I mean, I think there is some, but it's not like what we're taking, like, the algae
It's
that
not
we
like the
take
energy bits and the recovery bits?
no, no, because I had my practitioner look at that because I became
Okay,
those
so it's
also.
not it's just in the name.
It's just in the name,
Okay.
and so there's tons of studies, which I thought was fascinating, but I'll just read you one. So out of 172 women in their mid-60s, they increased bone density over 7 consecutive years by taking these 2 products, LG Cal Plus and this Strontium Boost Control.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I just wanna share that, and we'll link it up in the show notes, but it's a product that I only recently became aware of a couple years ago.
So I want to talk about weighted vests because they are so popular. I see, like, my office is looking out on a window and I literally see people walking by in the weighted vests every day now. Like, they're everywhere.
Don't you wish we
And
would have invented the weighted vest? I mean,
oh
come on.
my gosh, yes. And I remember when we started training for 29029 and people were talking like in the chats about wearing weighted vests and rucking. I was like, what are they talking about? And I would never wear a weighted vest. And that seems crazy to me, like to carry all that extra weight. And here I am with my weighted vest. I've now gone through 3 different ones finally to get to the one I love, which I'll link up in the show notes, but I think they are the bomb. I have to say, like, I remember the first time I used one, I put on way too much weight and I told Stephanie and I was like, "Oh my gosh, my back was hurting and my neck was hurting," and I think I put on like 20 pounds maybe. And it was the worst experience. And then I kind of dove in online and started like reading about it and learning, oh, well, you're only supposed to start with what is it, like 5 to 10% of your body weight. And so I ended up getting another weighted vest where it was less weight. And I started on the low side of 5% of my body weight. And I really, really liked it. And so then over time and with training, I would just keep increasing the weights. And the one that I have, they're like these little metal plates, and you can keep adding them to the vest. And I just have noticed that even walking it with my upper body, I feel like it's gotten so much stronger with the weighted vest, and I stand up straighter. Like, it holds me in, and it adds pressure to my legs, and especially when you're doing hills and stuff, I just really, really love it, and I feel like it's a great way to stress your bones in a safe way if you're following, if you're not doing what I did in the beginning where you're adding too much weight, and that was because I didn't know what I was doing. So, I think it's something that people should consider trying. I've been
Yeah.
giving them as gifts to people.
Oh, wow. Well, it's funny, I texted my sister yesterday, and I said, because she had just bought one. She was asking me about it a while ago, and anyway, I said, "I think we should get one for mom and dad."
I got one for my dad. He loves it. He was like, "This is the best gift ever." He literally loves it.
That's awesome. You know, it's funny because it's like, oh, another trend, right? And you're like, "Okay, how is this working? Is this not?" Like, oh, does everyone just wanna walk around and show, "Oh, I'm wearing my weighted vest." But when you start to dive into the benefits of it, and especially for people who I think they're great too, if you don't have a lot of time for a workout, because it is gonna get your heart rate up a little bit more than just, walking without weights. So, whenever I don't have time for much of a workout, I'll put my vest on because 'cause I'm like, "Okay, I can do a real fast walk," and it does feel like you just get more cardio. And then also for people that are just starting out who don't lift weights already, it's just an easy way, and it's like the weight is distributed pretty well on you once you get it to fit right and you have the right weight. And I was similar to Marnie. I didn't have 20, but last year I bought like a 16-pound weighted vest, and I was like, it was too much, I could tell. And then I ended up selling it and buying a new one. So I do think that they can be really great. And there are studies out there that are showing that there are benefits, that it's not just a trend that, people are doing and it's gonna kinda go away. I do think it'll continue to stay.
I do too, and I think it's just getting more and more popular actually as people understand the benefits of them. And I think that, like Stephanie mentioned, there are studies where the people that are wearing the weighted vests, they have noticed that those people are increasing their bone density in various areas of their bodies. So versus people that are not wearing the weighted vests. And you can even do your strength training in the weighted vest, which I personally have not tried yet
Yeah.
because I feel like my strength training is pretty intense and I can't really imagine wearing that on top of what I'm doing already. But I have worn it on the treadmill when I'm doing some incline training. And even when we were doing step ups for our Grand Canyon hike, I would wear the weighted vest sometimes, and I really like it. I like, I have scoliosis, and so sometimes I slouch, which I'm trying not to, and I like that it really holds me in. It makes me
Yes.
stand up straight. My core is, engaged in properly, and I think it really just helps all around. I love it.
I agree, and I think you could do body weight exercises. So if you don't have weights on you, just do, like, some body weight squats or body weight lunges with the weighted vest. And I don't think everyone needs one. I think that people are out there that are, like, running, like, doing a lot of other training, whether they're running or swimming or biking and also lifting weights and doing strength training. Do you need this on top of it? No. But a lot of people, this is just a good way to, like, ease into it. Or those days when you don't have a lot of time, I think it's just great to, like, throw it on and you're just getting a little bit more out of if you're walking. I've even heard some people that are, like, using that around their house, like, when they're cleaning.
Which is so funny. But I've seen a lot of people, like, in their 60s wearing them out on their walks, and I'm always like, "Love your vest." I always say something when I see them, and then, of course, when we go out to Highland Hills, you see the people, carrying, like, the 30-pound weights, and they're training for carrying a pack on some expedition or hike or whatever they're going on, and that's, like, different, I would say, than what we're talking about, where the weight is very distributed. I think that's one of the things I really, really like about these vests is that the weight is so distributed. I
Right.
walk with a couple of girlfriends and they wear, the ankle and wrist weights. And I've tried it. I don't love those. I'm going to be honest. Like, I like having my weight like distributed on my shoulders and core and back, like on sides very evenly.
Yeah, I agree. I have those Bala bands or whatever they're called, and I don't even know where they are now, actually. I'm not using them, but I do think it was helpful when we were training to use the weighted vest when we were
Yes.
training for our hike, and that helped because we were gonna have a backpack that was probably gonna be 12 to 15 pounds.
Right. And I love that, I I'm doing this. Like I like 2 year I don't recognize myself. It's funny. Speaking of that, I got a message from Stephanie this morning that said, "Who are you?" And I was like, "What
Oh,
is she asking me?"
it was about the thing that you sent me. It was like, "Do you wanna hike Kilimanjaro or Everest?" And it
So I wasn't sure if you were like, "Who are you?" like wanting to do these things or like which one are you interested in? It was funny.
I
Anyway,
thought, I'm like, "I wonder if she's gonna know what I mean."
you could read it 2 ways. But anyway, Kilimanjaro is the answer.
We've done our own Everesting. I don't think I'm gonna do the real.
I'm definitely not. There's too many safety concerns for that. But can we just talk about GLP-1s for a minute? Because I know so many people on GLP-1s right now, and my biggest concern for them is, are you strength training? And are you eating enough protein? Because, depending on your dose, right? And how much your appetite is being suppressed, I feel like I'm concerned that maybe people aren't hungry enough and then they're not eating enough. And then, like you said, are you getting enough protein and are you building muscle? Because yes, you're losing weight rapidly, but you're not just losing fat, you're losing muscle too. And that is concerning.
And it's concerning for even if you're not on a GLP-1, but you're doing some sort of other rapid weight loss program, it's the same thing. Whenever you lose weight, you are going to be also losing muscle.
Yep.
And so strength training and enough protein in addition to the other nutrients that you need is so important.
And then monitoring yourself. Like, I think if you are on a GLP-1, you need to keep track. You need to monitor, like, how much weight are you losing weekly and how much protein are you eating daily? And if you are losing weight too fast, I mean, we are not doctors here, but maybe the dose is too high.
Well, I think with these drugs or any weight loss, you need to be working with a health provider that knows what they're doing. And, I do have a client who's been microdosing a GLP-1 and it's worked really well for her, but she goes in regularly for full blood work. She's talking to a coach. I'm working with her and she's working with a nutritionist and talking about how much protein she's eating and she's strength training multiple times a week. That is how these drugs can be really successful.
A lot. I know people that are doing Pilates, which I love Pilates for lots of things, but I don't believe that Pilates is going to be enough strength training to support you if you're on a GLP-1. I think you need to do more to build that muscle.
I agree. You know what? One of our guests, kind of recent guests, Aaron Leventhal, talked about this in a newsletter that he sent.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it's not, like even some yoga or with like light weights, those are all great forms of exercise. And please keep doing them if you enjoy them. But it's not a substitution for significant strength training.
Right, because we wanna get our muscles exhausted, right? Like, that's how you're building muscle. You have to work to exhaustion. So, strength training is a non-negotiable, right? It's non-negotiable as we're aging. It's so, so important. So, please reach out to us if you have questions about it. We both strength train regularly in very different ways so we're happy to, help guide people if they have questions on, you don't know where to start or what to do.
Yeah. Or just figuring out what works for you. Like, what do you enjoy? Because at the end of the day, if it's not an activity that you enjoy, or at least enjoy at the end enough to keep going back, right? Maybe you're not like loving it in the middle of it, but that's actually a good thing because then you're outside of your comfort zone
Right.
and you're really working those muscles. That's probably what it means. But it is personal and there's lots of options. And that's why Marnie and I are here to help you explore the different options and figure out a way to make it work and really to prioritize this activity in your schedule. And even for the busy parent out there who has a lot going on, it's really important. And you don't need a full hour at all. 30 minutes is twice a week would be great.
And then consider getting a Dexa scan and just know where you fall today. What is your baseline? And then, you know, that will arm you with the information you need to move forward.
Yes. Knowledge is power.
Absolutely. And you're never too old to get strong. Like,
No,
it's
look at
never
my
too
mother-in-law.
late.
Right.
Yeah, she's in her 80s. I love that. And she's
Yes,
doing this. Like, this is some of the best insurance you can give yourself.
absolutely. So with that, we're going to wrap up this episode, but reach out to us. And if you're maybe struggling just a little bit to kind of figure out how you can incorporate some of these new habits that we've talked about into your schedule, we'd love for you to join us for a health transformation audit. We bring you on the show. It's just 15 minutes. We're going to unpack what's holding you back from leading that life that you want and that vision for yourself. So you can sign up using the link in our show notes or message us, reach out. We don't have to do it on video, so your face does not need to be known. We can change your name. We realize that doing this is vulnerable and it's very personal. And we just want to help you. So
But remember that if you are questioning something or have a question about something or an issue or a problem or whatever it is, someone else is having that same issue. So the more that we can talk about these things in community, the more we can bring them to light and share with one another. So you
absolutely.
don't be shy.
Yeah.
We would love to connect.
All right.
And
have a good day.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you for tuning in to the Art of Living Well podcast. If today's episode inspired you, please subscribe, share, and leave us a review. It helps more people discover our show.
And if you're ready to take your health and happiness to the next level, we would love to support you. Whether it's through our transformative group programs, personalized coaching, or functional medicine lab testing, we help uncover the root causes of your health challenges and unlock your vitality.
Visit www.theartoflivingwell.us to learn more and book a free discovery call. Until next time, keep creating your art of living well.